Gina Melnik, and I am a strong woman competitor. I've been doing strongman now since, I think it was 2009 maybe I was dabbling. I also did some bodybuilding. I did 3 shows in the fall season of '09, and I did 2 powerlifting meets before that. I think tire and yoke are probably historically my best strongman events. With tire, I was never bad at it to start, but I will say I put a lot of time into working on the form. I'm a big fan of videotaping stuff, and I would slow down. When I had a really good set, I would slow it down and kind of watch the reps and say, okay, what was between this rep that was really good on rep number 2 and this one that really stunk on rep number 3, you know, like what am I doing different? And with the yoke, I think for me it was practicing on a really, really crappy yoke for a long time.
Sure.
Like that's what I learned on, is this really rickety yoke, and I think that made me have to learn how to stabilize it really well.
And what are your weakest events at this point?
Oh, deadlift. This is the first time now, starting with you, that I'm going to be focusing on something that's really gunning for my deadlift. There's a few things I think are my favorite. So camaraderie, I mean, everybody says that, but it's
Sure.
true. I think folks are really cooperative and encouraging in the sport, and that makes it a lot of fun. I think it forces you to grow as a person in a way, because a lot of times the weights they set are weights that are so out of reach that you have to really dig in and be determined and just not be willing to quit on yourself.
Sure.
And so I think for all of us, you know, a lot of times you go into a contest with a little bit of that apprehension and fear. Maybe not when you show up that day, but when you sign up for it or while you're training, I think everybody has that kind of feeling a little in over their head sometimes. And I think that is a useful practice, not just the training itself, but doing that is really worth something. So I like that a lot too. I mean, sometimes not in the moment,
Sure.
but in general, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think sometimes when you're training for a serious contest, there are points at which your body's just mad at you.
Sure.
Things hurt, or your just central nervous system is just so fried that you kind of just are jealous, looking at the bodybuilders like, I wish I could just get a pump and leave, you know?
Sure.
So I think that kind of thing, I don't know, that's hard at times. I think that would for me be the hardest, is when I'm training for a contest that's really serious, there comes a point at which I feel pretty broken, and fighting through that sometimes is the hard part. That may be the worst. I can make a general statement. So one of my favorite things about my contest experience is I like when I get in the zone and I just have an event where, you know, you just feel that flow and
Sure.
you're just in the moment. I think that is really awesome, and I can't always get there as much as I want.
Sure.
But when I do, I find it really rewarding. And some of the experiences we've had specifically with the New England Women of Strength have been really meaningful for me. So those are big ones. But also I think sometimes it's the everyday stuff. It's not always like a big moment. Sometimes it's the everyday camaraderie of, you know, being with your training partner and just, I don't know, punching the clock sometimes has its moments too that are
Sure.
just kind of special. But I would say maybe my favorite recent one actually was at Nationals, because I went into it, I don't know, feeling like I still wasn't as strong as I was before the baby, and I kind of came out of it pleasantly surprised. I know I'm still making up for some stuff, but that was really encouraging and cool. So the New England Women of Strength is a New England-based community of strong women, and our mission is really to help grow the sport through encouraging other women to be a part of it, sharing information. People ask questions and share tips and train together. We have some events locally, although a lot of what happens is online, but it's a really special group of folks. And we have participation from people even past New England, because there isn't anything else like this in the country. So when other folks kind of need support, other women, I should say, it's women only. When other folks need support, they sometimes plug in even from California or Pennsylvania
Sure.
or wherever. So, and I'm one of the women who helped start it, so I'm heavily invested in it. It means a lot to me. Yeah, so I have a 17-year-old daughter. 17-month-old, 17-month-old daughter. And yeah, it can be really tough. Especially I felt like when I was nursing, it was really hard. I don't know what the hormonal cocktail going on there, but I really felt like for me, it wasn't until, you know, after I weaned her that I felt like my training kind of started to pick up to where I wanted it to be. Some of that could have also been that I was a little more cautious with not taking certain supplements like pre-workout and creatine and all that while I was nursing. So, I mean, some of that could have been that, but, so that was one thing. Also, training that sleep deprived, you know, in the early months, you know, everybody says things about how big a recovery is, right? In terms of just training in general. And so you figure not sleeping is like the worst possible way. It's like no wonder you can't perform in the gym, you can't recover. So I think a lot of times new moms are really feeling a lot of pressure to get back to where they were. And it's like, if you're not sleeping, you just can't recover the same. So I think that was a huge challenge. And also just finding time. You know, some women I know have got home gyms in their garage or in their basement. I don't have that kind of luxury. I'm a city girl. We don't have space for that. But I would go to the local gym that's probably about a 15 or 20 minute drive. And it would be tough because I'd have to get in and get out really fast before it's time to go back and nurse the baby. So I just feel like things like that are really hard. Even now, it's a little easier because she's older, but it's scheduling is still, it's really, that's what it comes down to. Scheduling gets really tough. A lot of the beginners I talk to are a little too hesitant to compete until they can do everything just perfect, right? So they look at it in tree form, and if there's some weights on there that they can't do, they're just not going to do it. And I think the thing I try to stress to them is it's by picking a show that's just a little past where you are, training your butt off for it, like that's how you get to that next level. And so if you keep waiting till you're there to compete, you're just slowing yourself down. And I think that's a hard concept for a lot of beginners, especially because they're thinking of things like, okay, you go out and you do a 5K or whatever else, things where everybody finishes. And it's like, trying to break to the new folks, there are going to be events you're going to fail. You know, you better get over zeroing because it's going to happen to you. So just trying to encourage people, it's not about where you're starting from, it's about training hard and just trying to get stronger. For the most part, I would take the same path again. I can't think of a lot of things I do differently. I mean, I did discover that bodybuilding and powerlifting aren't where I want to put my energies, but I'm not sure that I would say I wouldn't have tried it, because I know that now. And who knows, maybe I'll try them again in the future. But yeah, I don't really think, I mean, maybe the only thing, maybe I would have tried to compete a little bit sooner, but I had an injury at the time that prevented that. So that was part of the reason I detoured into some other stuff. But no, I don't think I would have done anything differently. I think everybody thinks about quitting sometimes. So what I was saying about sometimes it gets really hard, like partway through a contest. I think recently, training for nationals, I thought about quitting. Not during it, but like afterwards. I don't think I was really, I don't know, afterwards you wonder if you're serious, but let's just say maybe I didn't think about quitting, but I questioned my motivation. Like, do I have enough motivation for this? I think what kept me going, I should backtrack, maybe the things that used to be my motivators weren't able to be there anymore. So for me, I always loved hitting new PRs and seeing the numbers higher than they used to be. So since I came back from the baby, nothing was as high as it was. So I didn't have that as a motivator anymore, and that really, really was hard for me to accept. So I think what ended up being the thing is, you know, I was driving in my car on the way here actually, and I was like, okay, well, you're still going. So even though you're unhappy right now, like there's a reason you're in the car. And it's kind of like, so what is it? Like, can we nail this down? So I'm having this conversation with myself. And the thing I came back to was like, I didn't want to be a quitter. And then I was like, okay, so why? And then the thing I came back to was Zoe, my daughter. And I just, I want to be somebody who pushes through when things are hard. And I want to be an example for her. So yeah. What I was saying about it being a sport where you train up here also. You know, so I think it's one of those things where it's worth something, you know, to really fight through that.